Have you ever walked into a room full of laughter and felt completely hollow inside? Have you ever watched people dance around topics that matter, speaking in code about nothing? Have you ever wondered why every gathering feels like a performance you never auditioned for? You're not broken. You're awake. And awakening has a price that most people will never understand. There's a particular kind of exhaustion that comes with clarity. It's the fatigue of seeing patterns where others see coincidence, of recognizing scripts where others hear spontaneous conversation, of watching masks when others see faces. Arthur Schopenhauer understood this weight intimately. He saw what happens when intelligence collides with social expectation. The sharper your perception, the more unbearable the theater becomes. Not because you're superior, but because you can't unsee what you've seen. From childhood, we're handed a blueprint for belonging. Smile when you don't mean it. Laugh at jokes that aren't funny. Nod along with conversations that lead nowhere. Trade pieces of your authentic self for acceptance from people you don't even respect. The currency of social life is compromise, and the exchange rate gets worse every year. Here's what nobody tells you about being sharp-minded in a dull world. Your brain becomes your prison. You start analyzing every interaction, dissecting every smile, questioning every invitation. Is this genuine connection or social obligation? Are they interested in me or just filling silence? The more you understand human motivation, the less magical human connection becomes. Most people navigate social waters by instinct. They don't question the current. They swim where everyone else swims. But intelligence is like sonar in murky water. It reveals what lies beneath the surface, the rocks, the depths, the false promises of shallow shores. And once you've seen the underwater landscape, you can't pretend it's not there. Every small talk becomes a performance you refuse to join. Every group dynamic reveals its hidden hierarchy. Every social ritual exposes its emptiness. You become the observer at your own life's party, watching others dance to music you can no longer hear. This isn't arrogance speaking. It's recognition. The painful recognition that most human interaction operates on agreements you never signed. Society promises that happiness lives in connection, that belonging is the answer to emptiness, that isolation equals failure. But what happens when those connections feel more draining than energizing? What happens when belonging requires betraying yourself? What happens when the cure becomes a poison? Schopenhauer saw this dilemma with ruthless clarity. He understood that intelligence often leads to a kind of social exile, not because intelligent people hate humanity, but because they see through the elaborate facade that keeps most people comfortable. They recognize the difference between genuine intimacy and social performance, between authentic conversation and rehearsed scripts. The loneliness that follows this recognition feels different from ordinary loneliness. It's not the ache of wanting company. It's the ache of wanting real company in a world full of actors. It's the exhaustion of being the only one who notices the emperor has no clothes, the weight of carrying truths that others actively avoid. But here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. That loneliness, that isolation, that stepping back from the social stage. It's not punishment. It's liberation disguised as loss. In the quiet spaces between social obligations, something remarkable happens. You start hearing your own voice again. You remember what you actually think, feel, want. You discover that silence isn't empty. It's full of possibilities that noise drowns out. The mind that withdraws from social theater isn't running away from life. It's running towards something more authentic, more substantial, more aligned with its true nature. This is why history's greatest thinkers often lived on society's periphery. Not because they were antisocial, but because they understood the difference between meaningful solitude and meaningless socializing. When you stop performing for others, something shifts inside you. The desperate need for validation fades. The fear of social rejection loses its power. You begin to move through the world with a different kind of confidence. Not the confidence that comes from fitting in, but the confidence that comes from being genuinely yourself. And paradoxically, this authenticity becomes magnetic. People notice when someone isn't trying to impress them. They're drawn to the rare individual who doesn't need their approval to feel complete, who doesn't fill every silence with chatter, who doesn't trade integrity for inclusion. This isn't a strategy. It's simply what happens when you stop betraying yourself for social acceptance. The path of the thinking person is necessarily lonely at times, but it's a chosen loneliness, a conscious solitude that serves a higher purpose. It's the price of clarity in a world that profits from confusion, the cost of authenticity in a culture built on performance, the investment in depth over breadth, quality over quantity, truth over comfort. So when someone tells you to be more social, more outgoing, more like everyone else, remember this. You're not broken because you see through the games others play unconsciously. You're not missing out because shallow connections leave you empty. You're not failing because you choose substance over spectacle. You're simply awake in a world that prefers to sleep. An awakening, however uncomfortable, is always better than the alternative. The question isn't whether you'll fit into their world. The question is whether you'll have the courage to create your own, where silence has value, where depth matters, where being real trumps being popular, where intelligence isn't a burden to hide, but a gift to honor. This is your invitation to stop apologizing for who you are, to embrace the clarity that separates you from the crowd, to find peace in your own company, to choose quality over quantity in every relationship, to understand that the right people will appreciate your authenticity, while the wrong people never would have mattered anyway. Your intelligence isn't a flaw to fix. It's a compass pointing toward a more authentic way of being. Trust it. Follow it. Let it lead you home to yourself. The world needs minds that think differently, hearts that feel deeply, souls that refuse to conform just for comfort. Your withdrawal from meaningless social interactions isn't antisocial behavior. It's conscious curation of your energy and attention. You're not avoiding people. You're seeking the right people, the ones who understand that conversation can be communion, that silence can be sacred, that depth always defeats surface. When you finally stop trying to fit into spaces that were never meant for you, something beautiful happens. You create new spaces, spaces where authenticity thrives, where intelligence is celebrated, not hidden, where being different isn't a flaw to overcome, but a strength to embrace. And in these spaces, you'll find others like you, the thinkers, the questioners, the ones who chose truth over comfort long ago. So wear your solitude like armor. Let your selectivity be your strength. Allow your intelligence to guide you away from what diminishes you and toward what elevates you. The crowd will always be there, playing their endless games. But you have somewhere better to be. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.